Hello, Awakened Creators. Amanda here. We are live. And today we are talking about when you don't want to create. That's not supposed to happen, right? That's not supposed to happen. We're not supposed to not want to create. I call bullshit. I think that's stupid. There are going to be days when you don't want to create. There are going to be days when your life and other aspects of your life carry priority and take precedence over your artistic expression. We are multifaceted, multidimensional beings. We are not just creators. We are not just writers and artists and designers. We have relationships with people. We likely have, other responsibilities and obligations, other hobbies that we enjoy, that we want to engage in, not to mention important things like our health that are our priorities. So there are going to be days when you don't want to create. There are days when I don't want to create. But I want to talk about those days because I think that, it's taken me a really long time to try and figure out what to do in those situations. So when I'm not feeling creative, when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, grumble, this is not what I want to do. I really wanted to write yesterday, but today I'm just like not feeling it. So there's a couple of things I want to mention. One of the first things that I want to mention is that the last thing that you want to do when you don't feel like creating is make yourself feel bad about it. That's the last thing that you want to do. You do not want to add insult to injury when you are already feeling bad. Making yourself feel even worse, trying to, shame yourself into action is never the solution. It's never the solution. It's not going to do you any good to do that. And it's not going to serve you in any kind of way. So we can eliminate that right off the bat. Like, we're not going to approach ourselves with shaming. We're not going to approach ourselves with finger wagging and that kind of attitude. The other thing I want to say is that at least an approach that has never worked for me, but that I tried for a really, really long time to try and make work, was to bully myself into creating. I think I probably picked this up from childhood and this just kind of just do it attitude. But here's the thing, and I think that a lot of you will relate to this, is that most creatives at our heart, we're kind of rebels. And so even when the instructions are coming from within and we are telling ourselves what to do, I don't know about you, but I get rebellious against myself. Oh no, you're going to write today. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You can't make me You can't make me write today. You cannot. And so that also is not the right approach when you don't want to create. Trying to, I think, bully yourself into doing it. It's never worked for me. Maybe it works for other people, but it has never worked for me. And it took me a long time actually to get out of that cycle because I insisted that it was just laziness or it was just, me not being motivated enough or not, you don't want it enough, and I would tell myself these stories, and it took a really long time to untell those stories and to realize that no, there just are going to be some days when you don't want to create. There are going to be some days when you don't want to, you just have other things going on that are more important to you at that time, and that's okay. So let's first give ourselves permission to not want to create sometime. Let us give ourselves permission for that, okay? Can we all do that? I give myself permission to have days where I don't want to create, and that's okay. That doesn't take away from your identity as a creator. It doesn't take away from your goals. It doesn't take away from your ability to achieve. It doesn't have to turn into this whole big cascade where all of a sudden now all your dreams are crushed because you didn't follow through. And again, what I said at the beginning was the last thing you want to do is now make yourself feel bad about this, right? So now is not the time to pile it on and make yourself feel like a total jerkwad that you didn't want to create today. So we're done with that. We're done with the bullying. We're done with the shaming. So what can we do? Okay. So we know what not to do. We know what approaches are not working. What can we do? And I think that this is a really poignant conversation right now because of the astrology and it being Capricorn season. We can have a tendency to be very demanding on ourselves and be very like, no, you must get this done before the end of the year. You must align your goals. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. But what is on the opposite end of that spectrum? There are 12 signs, but there are only 6 axes. This is a spectrum. The opposite side of the spectrum to Capricorn is Cancer. It's meant to be the mother-father energy. It's meant to be on one end, the fathering, taking responsibility, making sure that your goals are achieved. But on the other end of that spectrum is the nurturing, the holding of sacred space, the allowing for emotions to come up and be handled and then dissipate. Like the waves of an ocean, your emotions are always going to come up. They're always going to feel big, but they don't have to last. They're not going to last. Just like a wave, they come in, they go out. They come in, they go out. So if you're not feeling like creating today or tomorrow or someday in the future, and you feel this big surge of emotion that wants to come up, your responsibility really in that moment is to allow that emotion to come up. Your responsibility in that moment is to nurture yourself through that experience, okay? To not beat yourself up, to not make yourself feel bad, but to actually allow those things to come through. Not to overwhelm you, right? Not to take you down the other end of the spectrum where now you're just a complete emotional wreck and you can't do anything, but to hold space for those emotions to exist, to be okay, and allow them to come through. So what this looks like in practice, and I will give myself always as an example. Let me have some tea. There was a day or two ago, it was very recent, within the last week, that I had a lot of stuff going on. I mean, those of you who watch me, you know, my mom is on hospice right now, and that is bringing up a lot of stuff. I also am helping my dad take care of her. So I have that. I have a family. I have a job. I have Awakened Creators. I have I have a lot going on. And there are days when that is a lot and I don't feel like creating. It's like I want to create, but I don't. I don't feel like I have the energy. So what's been working for me is to very first thing tell myself it's okay. I tell myself it is okay if I don't create today. If I don't create today, I'm not ruling it out, but I'm letting myself off the hook. I'm letting myself know that no matter what, I'm going to love myself, even if I don't create today. It's okay. It's okay if you don't create today. You're still going to love yourself. That's the message that you need to send first and foremost. The second thing that I did was I let myself feel my fucking feelings. I let myself feel my feelings. I let myself feel that wave come up, pour over me, and waited patiently. I wasn't in a rush, but I waited patiently for it to flow back out. Okay, so I let the energy come up. I laid in bed for a while. I was sad. I cried. I felt overwhelmed. I let myself feel all of those things, and I let it be okay that I was feeling all of those things. So that was the second thing I did, is I let myself feel those feelings. The third thing that I did was I let myself decide how I wanted, like what I wanted to do next. And I let it be fun. Like whatever you want to do next, let it be the fun thing. So what sounds the most fun to you to do right now? And you might surprise yourself with the answer, because the answer might be that you want to go create now. Okay. And that's the beautiful thing. And that day, that was the answer. I was like, I want to go paint. That's what I want to do. And so I did. I went and I painted, and it was like everything that I had been so resistant to that morning in terms of creating washed away. And it washed away because I wasn't making myself feel guilty. I wasn't making myself feel bad. I wasn't trying to bully myself into doing it. I let myself have a human moment, let my emotions come up, nurture myself through it, and then let myself go do what was the next most fun thing I could think of, which was to paint. So let's try that. The next time you feel like you don't want to create, okay, start asking yourself why. Like what is coming up for you right now that needs nurturing, okay? And let it be okay. Let yourself off the hook. You don't have to create today. You don't have to create tomorrow if you don't want to, but let's just keep it for just right now. You don't have to create, okay? What do you feel like would be most nurturing? And if that's to feel your feelings and to lay in bed a little bit longer, or to take a walk, or to cry, or to be angry, let yourself feel those feelings. Let them come up like the wave, knowing that a wave is not eternal. A wave ebbs and flows. Let it come up and let it go out. And then after that, ask yourself, what is the most fun thing I feel like doing right now? And you, again, might surprise yourself that that fun thing is that you want to create. So you end up coming full circle, right? From going to don't want to create to definitely want to create. But you did it all with love. You didn't do it with bullying. You didn't do it with shame. You didn't do it with forcing. You let it flow naturally by nurturing yourself through those moments. So I hope that that helps someone, especially if you haven't wanted to create for a really long time. My guess is that you are probably making yourself feel really terrible about it. And that's not the answer. Shaming yourself and guilting yourself and berating yourself is not going to make you more creative. It's only going to make you feel worse, and it's going to continue to block you. So again, give yourself what you need. Nurture yourself back to health, right? It's just like when you're sick. You nurture yourself back to health. You let yourself sleep in. You give yourself soup. You take a bath. You do all those nice things for yourself when you're sick. So when you don't feel like creating, ask yourself what it is that you need and nurture yourself through that moment. But I think what our creativity really wants to know, because really our creativity is our heart. It's our love. It's an expression of self-love. It's an expression of love for life. It's an expression of love for all of creation. That's what creativity really is. That's what we are expressing when we are creative. So when you are not expressing creatively, when you are resistant to creativity, it's usually because you're not loving yourself in some kind of way. You're not loving yourself through a moment that requires greater love from you. You're not holding yourself and nurturing yourself through a moment that requires great love and nurturing from yourself. So be there for yourself. Be your best friend. Help yourself. Not like, I need to cheer myself up and I need to hurry and get out of this feeling, but to sit with yourself with that feeling and to let that feeling be okay for right now. And then to do something that would feel good to you, whether it's creating or not. You know, if it's not creating, cool. Go for a walk, go exercise, go watch a show that you love that makes you laugh. You know, do something totally unrelated to that creative project. Maybe it's a different creative project that feels less stressful to you. Okay? And then I promise you, you will start to feel better already. So if you like that, if you really do get kind of stuck in the, if you get kind of stuck in this like watery space where you're not feeling very motivated, you're not feeling very like you want to even put any effort into thinking about or conceptualizing your creative projects, like you're just in that floaty spiritual kind of ether space, I'm going to definitely recommend that you check out the Cycle of Creative Flow, which, by the way, is made up of 3 components: mind, body, spirit. And if you're stuck in spirit, it's going to look a lot like this. It's going to look a lot like you don't want to create. It's not that you're overthinking it, stuck in the mind, like you're not even there yet, right? You're not even in the mind yet. You're just floating through the ethers is kind of how it feels. And while it can be restorative at a certain level, if it goes to extreme, it can be very, you can not be productive for months, maybe years in that space. And you can kind of just be in this weird time warp where you just create nothing for a really long time. And it can get very depressive and very heavy very quickly. So if you're stuck in spirit and you feel like you really need to like move the cycle forward, you don't want to be stuck in that space anymore. You want to come into alignment with your creative projects and start bringing them to life, re-energizing, reinvigorating yourself again, then I would definitely suggest checking out the Cycle of Creative Flow, and in particular paying attention to the modules where we talk about getting stuck in spirit. And there's a whole like guided meditation for that. There's a whole set of affirmations for that. So if you get stuck in that space, you can just like flick on those affirmations for getting stuck in spirit and start listening to them. So it's a really cool program that gives you the tools you need. If you want to check it out, the link is in my bio. But just be kind to yourself is always the answer, right? Be kind to yourself and love yourself, and don't judge yourself if you don't feel like creating, but also don't ignore your needs. And if you need more nurturing and you need more love and you need more care and you need somebody who understands, start trying to be that person for yourself. Understand yourself. Don't guilt yourself or shame yourself. Be there for yourself. Love yourself through that moment, and you will very quickly be able to move out of that space and into something that feels more light and more joyful to you, even if it's not your creative project. It could be something else. But either way, as soon as you get back into joy, you are well on your way back to the road of happiness. And that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed today's live. And if you did, leave a comment below, share it with a creative who you think might resonate with the message. And if you're watching this on Instagram or YouTube, make sure you're following or subscribed and that you hit the bell so that you know when I'm going live next or when my next video has posted. Thank you so much for being here, creators. Keep creating or let yourself rest, okay? Either way, you are loved and everything is going to be okay. I love you. Bye.